So, a couple of weeks ago, I was discussing different Nintendo rescue sequences, and when we finally reached Princess Peach on the list, I had a thought. How many times has she needed rescuing? I don't know, I don't think I have the time to count it all out. Maybe another time, but... And hey look, with a lack of content from Nintendo, we've got plenty of time to really think about it. Now, there's a chance that a Nintendo Direct did actually come out like the day before this video is eventually uploaded, so if it is, then I'm sure I'll be talking about it soon enough, but for now, let's go into how this little rabbit hole will work. Princess Peach is in a lot of games, and many come with their own unique storylines, so we'll be making our way through most of her chronological history and throwing up all sorts of statistics as we go along. And though we won't go entirely in order, we will eventually hit every relevant Peach game in this video. And yes, just the games. I won't be going into the TV shows, comics, or anything else. Let's get going on this 34-year-long adventure. The year is 1985, neon lights and retro arcades are the norm, the world is being rocked out as one of the largest iconic music crowds gathers for Live Aid, and on the big screen a handful of odd teenagers are in detention together in one screening, while another team by the name of Marty McFly is soon to travel back to 1955. In the comfort of everyone's home, the new Nintendo Entertainment System is available for kids to play, and with it comes our very first appearance of Princess Peach with the simple title of Super Mario Bros. And already, we come to some complications. The Koopa are taking over the Mushroom Kingdom with their dark magic, and Princess Peach, or Toadstool, whichever you prefer, is the only one who can break the spells cast on its citizens, which have turned them into blocks. But she's being held captive by King Koopa himself. Mario must take his quest across 32 stages to finally rescue the princess, so simply enough, that counts as a single kidnapping. That's one for the lore. However, things go a little off the rails from here, as these events have been retold and formatted in several ways. In 1993, players were given Super Mario Bros. All-Stars, bunching all the classic Mario games together, and though lore-wise this is the same event, there are some slight changes, including having the princess contained in a dangling cage this time. It's almost as if this is the same event from an alternate timeline where things seem slightly different. Additionally, in 1999, Super Smash Bros. Deluxe was released for the Game Boy Color, again retelling the classic, but with much smaller changes, only really affecting the animation to the lava and water. It's not a lore kidnapping, not really an alternative reality one either. It's more just a simple retelling of what happened 14 years ago. Oh, but then there's the All-Stars Plus version, bunching those games together again, but adding Super Mario World too. There's also the All-Stars 25th Anniversary Edition. So did you get all of that in? In the end, there are 5 different categories to juggle. Here's how it's looking so far to help you get your bearings. For lore kidnappings, we have 1. Alternative kidnappings, also 1. Retelling of kidnappings is at 3 now. Minimum kidnappings, to keep us humble, is at a solid 1 as well. And maximum kidnappings is already at 5. Though if you really don't want to count All-Stars an additional 2 times, then it's just 3. I won't be mentioning all of these numbers all in one place again for a good long while, but trust me when I say it's gonna spread in all sorts of directions. So, next step. We'll start spinning up soon enough. Super Mario Bros. 2. There's actually 2 different versions. The Japanese version released the Lost Levels, which was thought to seem too similar to the first game to be notable. In this game, the princess is kidnapped as per usual once again, but the title is similarly retold in Super Mario Bros. All-Stars and Deluxe and All-Stars Plus and All-Stars 25th Anniversary, essentially doubling most of our figures. But not entirely. Our alternative kidnappings remains as 1, as the All-Stars version stays so similar that I've casted it as a retelling instead, since the princess isn't dangling from a cage or doing anything particularly new this time. For minimal kidnappings, I've also only counted this game as half a kidnapping, since it's technically not accepted in some circles as actually being its own event, so that'll stay at 1.5. Western audiences got Super Mario Bros. 2, an adaptation of Doki Doki Panic, which has the princess as a playable character, so she is officially safe in these games and its retellings. Shame it was all just a dream anyway. Super Mario Bros. 3 has the Mario Bros. Saving the 7 Kings by defeating the 7 Koopa kids and using their magic wands to restore their forms away from the helpless animals they were cast into. Meanwhile, the princess is captured again by the Koopa King. This game gets all the same retelling releases, as well as an additional one from Super Mario Advance 4, porting the game over to the Game Boy Advance. Despite this, lore-wise, it's been confirmed that all of the events of this game are in fact a giant play, retelling a dramatized version of the princess's kidnapping. So lore will be staying the same, and retelling will be increasing instead. Super Mario World. The princess is once again kidnapped at Dinosaur Island and must be retrieved with the help of Yoshi. Very simple and plainly an official kidnapping to add to the collection. This game was also ported over with Super Mario Advance 2 and All-Stars Plus. Breaching out of the 2D retro world, we breathe life into the realm of 3D with Super Mario 64 in 1996. And once again, Bowser has claimed the princess, now nicknamed officially Peach, and sealed her away in her own castle. Technically though, it's not a kidnapping since it's just magical sealing powers, but we'll count it officially anyway. We also have Super Mario 64 DS playing out like an alternative timeline as one hero becomes 4, sharing the burden of saving the day. After several kidnappings, no matter how you try to angle it, the princess clearly needs a break and settles for a vacation on Isle Delfino, where she's carried off by a strange shadowy Mario, later revealed to be Bowser Jr. This is clearly another simple lore kidnapping with no alternative elements anywhere and no retellings of any form, no matter how much demand there seems to be for it. However, our maximum kidnapping counter can have a bit of a field day with this one, as she's technically captured several times. It's more of a relocation, but she's first yoinked by Shadow Mario on the street, she's then speedboated away to Pina Park, and then hot air ballooned to Corona Mountain, where she enjoys a lovely green bath. It's a bit of a stretch, but it wouldn't be called the maximum kidnapping counter if it didn't cut a few corners. Now that our fun in the early 2000s is concluded, it's time to hit Nintendo's magnum opus, the first new Super Mario Bros. Game. Keeping things simple and formulaic, it is just another kidnapping. Nice and easy, only adjusting the lore, min and max kidnapping scores. Back to 3D, since the Mario franchise has now branched into multiple series, we have Super Mario Galaxy. The princess's castle is physically lifted up into space by Bowser's airship army, and Mario must conquer the stars to reach his goal. As much as the context may not seem too simple, the actual kidnapping technicalities is. Next we get to Super Mario Bros. Wii. You might think it's a retelling of the first game, but then again, there's all these extra elements with new people and power-ups, so perhaps it's just an alternative reality. Or perhaps Nintendo just really wanted to stick to the formula. The events are slightly different in all regards, and it seems to be accepted that the princess is captured a lot. One thing's for sure, these kidnappings have been getting far more common in later years. And things will only get more complicated as we reach Super Mario Galaxy 2. The events are drastically different from the first game, and yet it can't be a lore kidnapping if the first one has already occurred. These games are simply alternative realities of the same concept. They cannot both be part of a single strand of lore. So whether it's this game or the other, only one lore point will be counted. The other is simply a kidnapping from an alternative reality. Over to Super Mario 3D Land, the cross between classic 2D New Super Mario and the beloved 3D stuff. It keeps things simple, having the princess captured and Mario following hot on her tail. However, to stretch that max kidnapping a little bit further, through the letters that Mario receives, we learn that Peach did manage to briefly escape on her own, taking down a Goomba as she goes. But alas, she is recaptured again, so we'll add 2 to the maximum counter. It's New Super Mario Bros. 2, not to be confused with the Wii version, which is the actual second game. Mario and Luigi rescue the princess amidst a giant collection of coins. The numbers may be big on screen, but for these counters, it's fairly simple and minimal. But the simplism stops here at New Super Mario Bros. U, where much like Clockwork at this point, the Koopalings capture the princess. That's one for the books. But much like the older games, the events are reformatted in several ways. First, we have the DLC version of events hosting Luigi as the main character alongside a whole new slew of levels, and after that we have the newly ported New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe version, giving us a new character in the form of Toadette, as well as a new little power-up. What does all this mean? Well, lore-wise, this is just another kidnapping to add to the list, singular. But for alternate realities, we've got an extra 2 to add. Minimal kidnappings only goes up by 1, whilst maximum boosts up by 3. It's still fairly easy to follow, but it's been a while since we've had to lay out all these technicalities. Super Mario 3D World, she's safe and secure. But Super Mario Maker? Would you really count it as anything at all? Because you see, in the game, she is actually kidnapped twice, by Goombas of all things. When taking on the 10 or 100 Mario challenges, you must rescue Peach from the Goombas who have carried her away to a classic castle. It's not lore, but could count as a single alternative kidnapping, generic and basic, but there it is. As for retold kidnappings, yeah, that could be 2 more. This won't affect the minimum counter, but you can bet it will adjust the maximum. Remember Super Mario Run? It's been a while, but the princess is kidnapped once before becoming another playable character. Add that to the simple list. And Super Mario Odyssey, that's a pretty big in-your-face lore kidnapping. Nothing more though. Supposedly a good game though. And don't worry, I haven't forgotten about a bunch of Mario games, there's plenty more to mention. However, since many of these are spin-offs or other branches, they won't be contributing to the lore counter, and instead will mostly be alternative accounts, since they come from other worlds with other versions of Peach and alternative circumstances. For example, Mario Golf games. For Peach, they're always a safe zone. She can wear her modern shortened clothing in peace. Same as the Mario Kart games, whether she's in biker gear or no. The Hotel Mario, yeah, that one, the same fate cannot be said. She's kidnapped just the once. Super Mario RPG, she's grabbed twice, first by Bowser at the start of the game, and then a second time by Booster when she lands in the Tower of Booster. Without any context of playing the game and just going by this image, I can see that Booster is a wonderful man. But that is another 2 for the charts. Mario Party DS, oddly enough, does have her kidnapped, along with everyone else as they're captured and shrunk down by Bowser. We also have, oddly enough, Game & Watch Gallery 2, Donkey Kong, retelling the events of Jumpman saving Pauline from Donkey Kong way back from the very beginning of their careers. However, with this remake, Princess Peach is put in Pauline's place. A slightly odd choice, but there we go. With every Mario Tennis game, the princess is in safe hands. But then we have the Paper Mario series, and oh my, is there some baggage to dig up. In Paper Mario 1, she's kidnapped fairly simply as her castle is unearthed and lifted into space. In the Thousand Year Door, she is captured and held by the new baddies, the X-Nauts, before being presented to the Shadow Queen, who deems her as a worthy vessel and possesses her, which will add as a second type of kidnapping for the alternative counter. With Super Paper Mario, she is sucked into a black hole portal along with everyone else, but soon enough finds herself on the hero's side of the adventure. Paper Mario Sticker Star, she is kidnapped, I'll skip over that piece of junk, and in Color Splash, she is similarly simplified, boosting our numbers up by 5 in several places, though the lore kidnappings haven't moved an inch, since this is Paper Princess Peach, not our original version. So moving on, we have Super Smash Bros. Brawl and the Subspace Emissary. Yeah, we're going there, and my god does it go some directions. First of all, both her and Zelda are captured by P.T. Piranha, and Mario and Kirby must choose who to rescue. If Peach is not chosen, then she'll be shot by Wario and turned into a trophy on the battlefield. If she is chosen, she'll join Kirby and be flown into the skies. As a defeated, unchosen trophy, she is eventually taken by King Dedede, who's making a collection, before Bowser crashes in and takes her for himself. The chosen flying Peach is later caught off guard and shot by Bowser instead. Both occurrences lead them to be contained once again in a little room on the Halberd, which Meta Knight, Lucario and Snake discover. Their trophies are then captured and absorbed by shadow bugs to possess copies of them. Once defeated, they join the growing crew, and right towards the end of the game, as she and most of the roster confront Taboo, she is destroyed by their off-wave attack, making our total 6 for the Subspace Emissary. These are not outright kidnappings for some of these examples, but all require the princess to be saved to some capacity. So I'm counting it. Our maximum counter and alternative one get a feast with this game. But now on to another Mario RPG, Mario and Luigi, and with some difficulties to boot. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga starts with the princess having her voice kidnapped. Okay, we'll go with 0.5 I guess. She then later visits the Mario Brothers near Teehee Valley, where the brothers must guide her through the desert to stop her being kidnapped by the Gritty Goombas. This happens once in the cutscene for tutorial's sake, and even though there's room for an infinite amount of small-scale kidnappings here, I'll only be counting this as 1. Similarly, after some events at the nearby valley, Peach is officially kidnapped by the main antagonist Catletta, now turned Bowletta. So 2.5 is our current total for the first game. Although you could also stretch that 0.5 doesn't count because it wasn't actually her voice that was stolen, it was actually Birdo disguised as her who had her voice stolen. So it is a bit of a wavy number on that one. Now, I haven't played Partners in Time, but I think I can handle how this story goes. As babies, they're being looked after, and though Baby Bowser attempts to kidnap the baby princess, he doesn't finish the job. Then some Shroobs invade the kingdom, but don't kidnap them either, as Baby Bowser calls Kamek to take them out of the castle. Peach travels back in time to that invasion and is captured by Princess Shroob. As Mario, Luigi, Baby Mario, and Baby Luigi travel the lands to save the day, Princess Shroob disguises herself as Princess Peach, but is swallowed by P.T. Piranha. When the bros defeat P.T. and take her back to the present, Bowser then kidnaps the disguised Shroob in the present present day. They later learn of the identities and find the real Peach being held captive in Shroob Castle. So throughout all this, Peach is kidnapped once, but we see Princess Shroob in disguise kidnap a further 2 times. So that's 1 for the alternative counter and 3 for the max. It's technically not Peach, but it is a Peach kidnapping, or swallowing. All of that, and we still have Bowser's inside story. In this game, she is inhaled by Bowser at the start, along with the others. Later on, the villain Forful manages to grab her from within Bowser's body to hold her captive, and she is then inhaled later on by Dark Bowser. Don't ask the details, please. Bowser does attempt to kidnap her again at the end, but it doesn't finish through. That's another 3 to consider. With Mario and Luigi Dream Team, Princess Peach is sucked into the dream world by Phantasma near the start, and later on, once rescued, she is quietly taken by Kamek, who disguises herself as Peach until the time is right. Eventually, she is rescued from Bowser's clutches at the end of the game. And finally, for the Mario and Luigi games, we have Paper Jam, the worlds of Paper and Luigi combine. The 2 Bowsers take the 2 Peaches, so I guess that's already 2 kidnappings, and once at Castle Bowser they attempt to escape but are recaptured by the 2 Bowser Juniors. Odd scenario, but that's an extra 4 kidnappings in total. We should probably also consider the fact that Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story got a whole new remake, so all those numbers will double. After all of that, here's another spin-off, but we're coming to the home stretch now. Mario Pinball Land, remember that? Princess Peach, enthralled by the air cannon attraction, is maliciously sent flying towards Bowser's castle instead. It happens, as does Mario turning himself into the shape of a pinball to go to the rescue. Ugh. Mario's Super Sluggers now, usually the sports game's safe, but not for this one. In story mode, though she is a playable character, you must first rescue her from Bowser Jr. as they invade to unlock her. Simple enough, but it counts. And then we have, say, Super Princess Peach. She is the protagonist there, so she is safe. Same can be said for the Mario Strikers series, and Mario Sports Superstars, and Mario Sports Mix, and the other Smash games, and Mario Teaches Typing, and Excitebike Bun Bun Mario Battle Stadium, only released in Japan, and Yoshi's Cookie, and Mario and Wario, and Yoshi Safari, and Mario's early years, as well as Mario Hoops 3-on-3. Remember that one? Mario and Sonic at the Olympics also has no such dramas. And with all of that, there's only one final game to really point out, and that is Mario and Rabbids, which I'm a tad confused about. She and everyone else are sucked into a vortex, and that's it. She later joins you, I guess, as you find her. It's not a kidnapping, more just a relocating, but that will be our final point to be allocated. And with that, we have our final score to lay out. Putting all these numbers together and outlining technicalities has been quite the trip, especially since one number change shuffles all sorts of things later on, but I can now come here with the most pointless knowledge of telling you just how many times Princess Peach has been kidnapped in Super Mario history. From a lore perspective, following the original Peach and her normal-ish timeline, she has been kidnapped a total of 11 times. Quite an impressive feat for a single person, one must admit. This number bumps up to 12 if you include the lost levels as well, playing out so similarly but potentially being its own event. Oddly enough, 11 was also the amount of kidnappings retold on my list, until I added the Mario and Luigi remakes. Now it's at 16.5 thanks to all sorts of ports and remasters onto later consoles. Of course, if you also include the additional All-Stars expansions as their own dedicated retellings, then we jump up to 21.5 retold kidnappings. Way to milk out your circumstances, eh? Moving on, we have alternative kidnappings. These are for the kidnappings that don't quite align with our original Peach, whether it's another princess entirely with a dedicated world around her, or it simply doesn't line up with our other games in the established timeline. Our total for our kidnappings across realities is a whopping 37.5. 38.5 even if you include the Shadow Queen possession. And although this is only a one-time thing, if you include the retellings of these alternative timelines with, again, the Mario and Luigi series, then you'll get an even larger 44 total kidnappings. And on top of that, I've counted 3 more alternative points I should have added while I was editing this. The first from Partners in Time, when Princess Peach is originally swallowed by P.T. Piranha, as well as when being possessed in the Subspace Emissary, as well as the Mario Maker 3DS remake also gives us one extra one there. It doesn't affect the retelling score, because while it would add 2 more retelling points there, an edit I had to make on New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe made me take off 2 retelling points, so might sound a bit complicated, but basically, retelling makes no adjustments, but there is 3 additional alternative points I should have added, but I now know now that I'm editing it. No matter where you are, it's not a good thing to be named Peach, and it's certainly not a good choice of disguise either. But let's keep things modest and look at the minimum amount of princess kidnappings that could be considered. Let's give Peach as much of the benefit of the doubt as we can, casting out as many games that can be logically ignored. With that, we come to a total of 11 kidnappings. It comes from 10 official ones and 2 half ones, being Mario 64 and the Lost Levels. Or even better, casting out the Lost Levels brings the number down to 10.5 kidnappings. That's still pretty bad for a single person, but a tad more modest than 39 or 44.5. But no wonder the princess is notorious for her kidnapping antics. But enough of the modesty, it's time for the morbidly curious question. What is the maximum amount of times one could consider the princess being kidnapped? It doesn't matter the world they're from, how they were kidnapped, or even who in some scenarios. What kind of numbers can we really get out of this? Well, I have several answers. Starting off, keeping things fairly simple at just counting most of what we see from the basic kidnapping definition, we come to 64 kidnappings. Wow, this ends up being a round number because we don't include the Mario 64 ceiling as being half a kidnapping, it's a whole one now, and there are 2 Princess Peach voice kidnappings, the original version and the retelling one, so it magically all lines up to be a nice round number. But we can get bigger than that. If we stretch the definition of kidnapping and include the simple taunting and relocation of Peach from Super Mario Sunshine, then that number boosts up by 3 to a nice 67. But wait, there's even more. She was also recaptured during Super Mario 3D World as told by those letters, taking us up to 68 kidnappings in total. But this giant number still has one little asterisk hiding behind it. This number still does not include the Lost Levels or the additional All-Stars remasters. So, adding on the Lost Level kidnappings and the All-Stars version and the Deluxe version and the All-Stars Plush version and the All-Stars 25th Anniversary version and the All-Stars Plus version of Super Mario Bros. 1 and 3 and the All-Stars 25th Anniversary version 2 and the All-Stars Plus version for Super Mario World, but not the 25th Anniversary version because that one omits Super Mario World for some reason, then there's an additional extra boost of 10 whole kidnappings, giving us our final largest maximum total score as 78 Princess Peach kidnappings altogether. My god. I don't think anyone can fathom being kidnapped 78 times, but that seems to be the reality for those by the name of Princess Peach. And if you add those 3 extra ones I added in the edit, it comes out to a nice round, oddly enough, 81. Wow. And with Nintendo always pumping out more Nintendo games, that number is sure to climb even further, be it through the new Super Mario Bros. Games, more adventurous Mario Sports games, or through that looming Luigi's Mansion sequel. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed going on this odd little journey with me across Princess Peach's history, all to unlock the question I bet someone has already answered in some corner of the internet. Regardless, these are the numbers I'll be holding on to as I play whatever comes next. If there's anything you think I missed, which is very possible, I'm just a human, then do let me know. And discuss what number you truly believe in. 77 sounds cool and all, but which one do you think is the true correct answer? I look forward to seeing if anyone has some outstanding opinions on it all. But for now, I think I'm gonna lay back and hope to God there's something new to talk about soon. I don't think I can make these theory statistic kind of videos forever. And I should probably check back on the other guys. My name's been Daz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit. 41 minutes this recording was. There were a couple breaks, but even still, my goodness.